Hope you guys are all having a great Monday. Yesterday, Ethan and I fabriced like the whole garden, so I'm recovering from that. But we did. It was a good day. It's a good day. Today we're talking about how do you cure homesickness. It's a big question, and when you're inside of homesickness, it can feel overwhelming. But first things first, hey, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Keisha Ellingson, and I teach people how to heal homesickness by leading them through the process of creating community and excitement in their local areas, even if they are super shy, because that was me. I was extremely shy when I started moving. And so I've been through it all, and I can help you walk through it too. So how do you cure homesickness? Usually when you are feeling homesick, or when someone is feeling homesick, it's an overwhelming feeling. It kind of is something that reaches out and touches all areas of your life. And the first step to healing homesickness is by realizing that you didn't lose your old area that you came from. It's not gone. It just looks different. Okay, how you interact with it looks different. For example, like your friendships, most friendships can make it through a move, but they look different. The way you interact face to face with a face to face friendship versus a long distance friendship, it looks different. And you cannot push it to be the exact same, because that will put a lot of pressure on your friendship, and then it won't be what you wanted it to be. So there's a lot of ways where you can transition to calling and texting and just giving them good thoughts, right? I say, like, sending them love when you think about them. There's other people who contact me and say, Keisha, I feel like I'm crazy, but I miss my grocery store, or I miss my gas station. I miss like every single thing about my old area. And like what that really boils down to is missing familiarity, if that's how you say it. Like being familiar with your area, like you know how everything's laid out, you know where to go in the town, you know what to expect. And our brain likes that, because that's where we feel safe, is when we know what to expect. And so when we're stepping out into something new, it's very common for our brain to feel, or to tell us like, oh, we should go back, right? We feel homesick. We want to have the comfort that we had back home and have those relationships and have that community. So the first thing is adjusting, is to be like, okay, I didn't lose it. It's not gone. It just looks different. That's kind of like a mindset thing. But when you can transition that, you transition out of scarcity mode, like you're like, it's gone, like to, okay, it looks different, and how do we keep going forward from there? The second thing that you can do is establish a routine of connection to back home. So whether it's like, if you're calling once a week, or writing a letter, or FaceTiming, or if you're going to travel back once a year, or maybe invite someone to travel to you, that having a routine of connection gives you something to look forward to. But it also like tells your brain like, okay, like next week we're going to call this person and this person. And so you have a schedule of connection, so it doesn't feel like it's so distant, if that makes sense. So you set up a routine of connection back home, because those relationships are different but not gone. But then you also set up a routine of connection locally. And what this does is it gets our focus here, because we cannot live life if we're completely focused on the place back home and wishing and praying that we were still there, or that we could move back, because what that does is it puts all of our focus here and all of our connection energy here. And then you don't set roots in your local area, and you never develop a sense of home in your local area. So the step 2 was connections back home and connections locally. Um, and developing connections locally looks different for a lot of people, but that also goes in. So I say, like, step 3 is start living where the people are. When you are at home saying, I'm so lonely, but I'm not going to go out because I don't have anybody to go out with. I'm really lonely, but I'm not going to go meet somebody because that may be an awkward conversation, and I don't do awkward conversations. And if it's like you're saying, I don't like this problem, but I'm not going to do anything to fix this problem, right? So the third step is start living where the people are. Like, make it a common thing to connect. So where do the moms hang out in your town? If you're a mom with young kids, I feel like that can be a recipe for no interaction at all, because sometimes kids are hard to take out to other places where adults are meeting and gathering. So where do the moms hang out in your town? Or what art classes are in your town? What community groups meet in your area? And which one do you want to be a part of? It's basically like taking the things that you do on the regular. So if you like to ride bike, then finding a group that rides bike. So instead of doing those things solo, you can do them with somebody. So if you're hanging out with your kids all day, yes, you can hang out in your apartment and go on a walk and come back to your apartment, or you could find a mom group and hang out there, or go hang out at a park and wait for other moms to come there and make friends with them. It's basically taking an assessment of what you're doing now and seeing if you can do that where there are other people who have the same interests or other people to connect with. So it's not really adding more to your plate. It's just changing how or in what areas you connect, right? So healing homesickness is really a growth process. It's you are growing and developing and learning how to be comfortable in your new area, and being comfortable with being who you are without the supports you had at back home. Some people view it as like without a security net. You can make your own security net locally, but something that I ran up to when I first made my first really big move is that there weren't any people for me to bounce my ideas off of, or to ask, like, hey, do you think like this is a good option? And what I realized is that I was in a very strong habit of not thinking for myself, which made it extremely uncomfortable to move states away from anybody I knew, because I was in the habit of like thinking of an idea, bouncing off somebody, getting their feedback, and then going with that with whatever they said. And so moving into the uncomfortable, being homesick, wishing I had people to bounce ideas off all the time, but not, actually helped me to develop my sense of self and like who I really am and what I stand for as me, as a person, not as a reflection of someone else. So just know that sometimes even though like homesickness feels like a struggle, it can be a good struggle. You're growing and you're finding yourself, you're finding your strength, you're finding what you can do, and that you can thrive in your new area. Right? Another time that I feel like homesickness kind of strikes me is when I'm filling out school forms, because usually they have like a, a blank that says emergency contact other than parent. And right now we have most of our people like that would be emergency contacts are hours away. So you can't, like, I'm like, well, I'm not going to write them down. They're not going to drive a bunch of hours and then come. Like, it doesn't work like that. So it's just like those subtle reminders that like, oh, I'm alone, like to your mind, right? Oh, my safety net's not there. But I challenge you, instead of thinking like, oh, I'm alone, you can develop the skill of being comfortable even if you feel like the safety net's not there, right? And I have a whole training on how to develop a support system in your local area too. So don't think that don't think that you have to not have a support system if you're new to an area. That's not true. But being comfortable when you're a bit vulnerable, I believe is a skill to be able to walk out and stand in some place that's not 100% comfortable is a skill that personally I think a lot of people need to learn. So if you're walking in a homesickness today, know that you're probably growing and becoming more of who you are, like on the outside as what you are inside already. But if you are looking to heal your homesickness and you're like, oh my gosh, I just need to heal this pain that I have and this longing to be someplace else, I have a workshop. It's totally free. It's called Healing Homesickness Workshop. And it's in the Homesick to Happy Movers guide or Homesick to Happy Movers group. You can find it in the guide section. I believe there's a link in the description of this video if that speaks to you. If not, that's totally cool too. But wherever you are on your moving journey, I wish you lots of fun and grace for, if things don't go your way, it's okay, because there's always another option. There's always different ways to get to your final destination, right? So I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to